Today we will discuss on another cystode. Its name is Diphyllobothrium latam. It is also known as fish tapeworm because this parasite uses freshwater fish as one of the intermediate hosts. Actually, this parasite uses two intermediate hosts and one definitive host to complete its life cycle. And freshwater fish is one of the most important intermediate host of this parasite. This cystode is usually a very large one, usually the largest cystode known. It may be up to 13 meter long. So 13 meter is a huge and the longest cystode, this Diphyllobothrium latam. And the scolex of this cystode has sucking grooves, but there is no hook. And the proglottids are wider than the length. This is a differentiating point. The proglottids are wider than the length. The eggs are also very different. It's oval shape, not circular, oval shape, and it is operculated as well, unlike the other cystodes. So human and other fish-eating mammals may be infected by ingesting raw or undercooked fish containing the larva. And the larval stage that the fish contains is called the pleurosarcoid. As fish is the second intermediate host of this parasite, this fish is the source of infection for human and other fish-eating mammals. The adult worm lives in the intestine of human, especially in the jejunum. So human is the definitive host for this parasite. And the gravid proglottids has many eggs, and the eggs are liberated in the environment. So the eggs hatches when it comes in contact with the fresh water. The eggs hatch out in the fresh water and there will be formation of a coracidium. This coracidium is eaten by the tiny copepod crustacea, and these copepods are the first intermediate host. And there will be further development in the copepod of this first stage larva, and this copepod is again eaten by large freshwater fish. So fish become the second intermediate host. So this fish, if eaten raw or uncooked, undercooked, the human or other fish eating mammals, they can get the larva, and this larva is infective for the human, and so human become infected by eating raw or undercooked fish, and fish is the second intermediate host. So if we look at the life cycle of this parasite, the adult worm in the definitive host like human will release unembryonated egg in the environment through the feces of the definitive host. This unembryonated egg becomes embryonated in the water, and it will release a coracidium, a first stage larva. This coracidium is eaten by tiny copepods crustacean in the water, and the coracidium will be developed into a prosarcoid larva in the copepod. The copepod then can be eaten by small freshwater fish, and this prosarcoid larva will be further developed into pleurosarcoid larva in the small fish. This pleurosarcoid larva is the infective form for human. The small fish can further be eaten by predator large fish, and the pleurosarcoid larva may be transferred to that fish. So human or other fish eating mammals can be infected by ingestion of raw or undercooked fish. If they eat raw or undercooked fish, which is the custom in different part of the world where people used to take the raw fish, and they may be infected by the pleurosarcoid form of this cystode. So human become infected by ingestion of the pleurosarcoid larva. So the transformation will be like from the embryonated eggs there will be release of coracidium, and from the coracidium it will transform into prosarcoid larva in the copepod, and this prosarcoid larva will be further developed into pleurosarcoid larva in the small fish and also in the large fish, and this pleurosarcoid larva is the infective form for the human. So the adult worm develops in the intestine of the definitive host, and this Diphyllobothrium latam usually attached in the jejunum of the human. But the adult worm in the intestine usually causes little harm or mild discomfort, and there is no significant pathogenic role is played by this worm. The main importance is that the enzyme competitively uptake vitamin B12 from the intestine in the jejunal area. So there may be vitamin B12 deficiency, and the features due to the deficiency of vitamin B12 may be seen in the host, definitive host. So the adult worm in the intestine of the definitive host usually do not produce any severe symptom. There may be some abdominal discomfort or diarrhea like symptoms may be seen, but usually no severe symptom is noticed. But main problem is that this cystoid is a competitive user of vitamin B12 in the human. So the worm can absorb a large amount of vitamin B12 in the jejunum, and some people may show the lack of vitamin B12, and hence there is chance of megaloblastic anemia. But this megaloblastic anemia cannot be differentiated from the pernicious anemia. But this megaloblastic anemia is usually seen in some people of Scandinavian areas where the frequency of pernicious anemia is also high. So it cannot be conclusively said that the worm is completely responsible for this megaloblastic anemia or vitamin B12 deficiency. It might be another contributing cause for developing the condition, but not the single cause for the condition. Laboratory diagnosis can be made by examination of the feces for identification of the characteristics eggs, that is oval, yellow brown color, and has an operculum at one end. If we examine the proglottids, the length is less than the width,